Oh yeah, we're rocking. Our good buddy Abstract Artemis released some old demos and recordings. And you know what goes with some good music? A good batch of beer. So what we're doing today is I got an email from a guy in South Africa who is a brewer. Goes by the name of Craig Clausen. He said, I watch your show from South Africa. Happy to see you're using some of our hops. So I did a video on using Southern Promise and Southern Dawn. Must have seen that. I own a brewery here. Wondered if you'd like to do a Southern Passion beer with a recipe from our brewery. And the brewery is called Lunar Brew. It's in a little town called Elgin, 40 minutes from Cape Town, between the garden route and the wine route. If you know about that. I do not. Technically, it's apple country. We should probably be making cider, but beer is my passion. The beer is a simple hoppy blonde, is what he refers to it. We get a lot of people that drive miles just for this beer, and it's all about the Southern Passion hop. Now, I cannot buy Southern Passion. However, well, not easily and in town. Our good buddy Chip Walton of Chop and Brew had an ounce, and this recipe calls for basically 1 ounce. So I got this ounce from Chip. I am following Craig's grain bill, which is, he listed it as 9.6 pounds of pale, 0.4 of Diggeman's biscuit, so I'm actually just doing 9.5 and 0.5. Now look at this, people. 1 gram. Do you know how much 1 gram is? It's 1/28 of an ounce. That's the bittering. And then a really additional small amount at 30 minutes. And then at the end, you put the rest in. SO5. I actually happen to have SO5 on hand, so I'm just going to use that. It's a very, going to be a simple and cheap beer for me to make. Free hops. I bought the grain. It cost me $10 for 10 pounds. The yeast was also gifted to me, so basically I'm spending $10 to make this beer from Craig's Brewery in South Africa. And I thought it would be fun to see how it comes out. Also, it's cooling off here, and the temperature range on this yeast goes down 59 Fahrenheit, which is pretty nice. I'm sure I can keep it above that. Probably be roughly around 1050, probably a little under. I got the mash going right now, and I got the rock going right now. So we will get this puppy going. Probably collect the wort tonight and boil it in the morning. And yeah, try this little experiment, and I'll have to let Craig know how it comes out. We got about 8 inches of snow a week and a half ago in like middle of October, and that was unusual and also just kind of insulting, I'll be honest. Got my headless Mumby work shirt. Thanks, Keith. Pretty rad. Has a cool design on the back, but I can't really show that right now. Anyway, what I did is I'm gonna do 2 grams for bittering, which is, you know, absolutely nothing. So the idea is that I think at the end, when you put the rest of the hop in and let it sit there, a hop stand of sorts, it will get a little more bitterness and also hopefully some yummy flavor. So we're bringing it up to a boil and get this thing going. Oh, and I was gonna say that snow, I'm gonna use some of that to help cool down the wort in my ice bath, which is a nice thing about the winter and the snow around here. So the next hop addition calls for 2.8 grams, very specific small amount, so we have, you know, a little over for 30 minutes. So the boil is churning along. There we go, that whopping hop addition, which will leave me with about 23 grams. And there's 28 grams in an ounce. And so that will go in that flame out, and I will probably let it sit for 15 minutes at 212, or, you know, whatever the temperature is. So hopefully it will get even a little bit more bitterness for this beer, and hopefully some nice hop flavor. I don't know if I commented before, but he was saying that these Southern Passion hops have been kind of a game changer for him, and it sounded like maybe also for other craft breweries in South Africa, that he compared it to what Cascade did for U.S. brewers in probably like the 80s, or also 90s and even today, but that they just really like it, and it has a really unique character, and it's his favorite hop, and hopefully the one I got here from Chip will be enough to give us some example of what it's like. I can't really tell if you can see this, but this is the back of this cool work shirt from Headless Bumby in Olympia, Washington by our good friend Kisiani, and there you go. So it's been an hour, still boiling away. I'm gonna kill that. Oop, wrong way. And I'm going to take the remaining hops, give them a little smell here. They smell good. I mean, they've been vacuum sealed and frozen, so. So a hop stand is something I do a lot, especially with like a India Pale Lager. So I will let them go 15 minutes as my plan. That should get a little bit more bitterness and, like I said, hopefully some good flavor. We are getting there. It is in the upper 70s right now. Chilling. You can see the snow has provided me a really nice ice water bath. That's my usual trick, but of course if I have snow, then I don't have to make all the ice. Now I'm just gonna pitch this yeast as is into the wort. I hardly ever use dried yeast for beer. I know lots and lots of people do it. It's very convenient. It's nice to have on hand. It can be easier. Normally I don't make a starter, but for whatever reason when I have used it, I tend to prefer liquid, so I usually go that way. But I was, like I said, given this, and Craig himself even suggested US 05. So I have it. All I had to do was buy $10 of grain and put a little time into it. I will, finish cooling this down, pitch the yeast, check the gravity. So here it is. It's about 1048 to 1050. I'll get my glasses on and get the actual reading. I still think it looks a little darker than I would expect for the grain bill. Not sure about that, but it's a pleasant 62 Fahrenheit at the moment. I got 5 gallons even. Put these t-shirts over it to keep out the light, and hopefully it'll be fermenting soon. Hey everybody, welcome to the tasting notes. We're doing a virtual tasting note today. If you follow along, you'll have already perhaps seen the pills made with Kvike yeast, which we just tasted right before this, and we're gonna do this, and then we're gonna do Black is Beautiful. So we're just knocking them all out of the park. But right now we're doing the Southern Passion Blonde that I got the recipe, as I described, from Craig at Lunar Brew in South Africa. And this beer finished at 1.007 from that dried yeast that I just dumped in there, so it fermented nicely. I brewed this on Jonas's birthday, 10/31. Whoa. Yeah. And it is now November 28th, I believe. So that is probably 4 weeks. Yeah, 1.007. Oh yeah, is he 4 weeks then? Because that's Saturday.
Well, we're calling it a month, even though you're like, well, what's a month? Is it the 30th, the 31st? But there's not a 31st in November. Yeah, he's 4 weeks old.
Okay. All right.
5:50 at 5:48, so like in an hour or so.
Oh, funny.
2 hours.
Funny. All right. So the question on my mind was, does this hop have any kind of unique characteristics that are different than our familiar like European American hops? If you've been playing along, I've enjoyed using some New Zealand hops, and I also made a South Africa hops beer, and that is how Craig contacted me, because he saw that beer and he's like, oh, I see you're using some of our hops from his area, and he contacted me and told me about this recipe. I think I mentioned that earlier. So, before I go over what we're supposed to be smelling and tasting, do you get any, Chip, any descriptors come to mind?
To me, it seems almost kind of like a little cherry, kind of red candy. I don't want to say berry, but not huge. What doesn't hit me is like, I don't know, I hear the word passion and I want to think like passion fruit and tropical. That could have zero reference to why they named it that.
Mm-hmm.
On the nose, I actually get a lot more malt, which would make sense kind of based on kind of what you said, the way that this is backloaded with hops versus being throughout.
Not a lot of bittering hops at all. As I showed in the video, I mean, just grams. Just you could count the hop pellets that went into the bittering, and yeah.
The tip is a little bit more of that kind of like berry, almost maybe like melon, but these like softer fruits. I don't get anything that's like, you know, pineapple, guava, mango.
I feel like you've read the descriptors of the hop.
I haven't. I give you these hops, but I have no idea what.
Well, so here's what they say. Well, and I'll say, for my money, I get sort of a lemony and a limey characteristic that you will get in New Zealand hops. And then they list grapefruit as one of the descriptors, but also passion fruit, guava, red berries. I don't know what that means. Strawberries? Raspberries? It just says red berries, and then it says melon. Again, what kind of melon? Yeah, I know. And then grapefruit. So you were picking some of these off, which is impressive.
Yeah, no, I've never read. Like, I think Mark Gillette, shout out to Mark at FH Steinbart, sent like all the Southerns. He did Southern Passion, Southern Craw. I don't know. There were like 3 or 4 of them. And I think I gave you the Dawn ones, maybe even. Anyway, so I never looked at this. Like you said, the packaging was fairly non-discreet, so it wasn't a lot of information.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
Well, it said what kind of hop it was, but it didn't have the alpha acid, which we're used to.
Yeah, no, I think it's on the softer side. I think maybe if more of it was boiled longer, maybe some of those other things would stand out. But I think it's pretty soft and. You know, it's well balanced. Obviously, it definitely seems more malty to me. Like he calls it a hoppy blonde.
Yeah.
I don't know about the color being blonde, but I definitely get those like tasting sensations of a blonde, where it's a little more malty, grainy than it is in your face hoppy, right?
Yes, the thing that I like about the beer is the hop. I think is an interesting, flavorful hop. I just would probably want to. I mean, I don't know what the alpha acid is, but I don't know why you couldn't maybe bitter it with the full ounce and then do like 2 ounces of it at the end in the hop stand, and then just get like more of this character that we're kind of getting out of it, but just get more of it. And because Craig is saying he thinks that's a really unique and enjoyable and kind of special hop. He really does like it. You know, like people will like whatever, Mosaic or Citra or Amarillo, you know, like people have these favorite hops, and he just really thinks it's quite a nice hop. I had 1 ounce, and that was what the recipe called for, so I was fortunate to at least be able to make it. But yeah, I would like to probably dial up the hops a little bit in a beer like this. You know, that got nice and clear, really, from just...
Yeah.
I'm not normally a big fan of dried yeast, but Craig even suggested it, and Chip gave me some, so it worked out to do it that way. But I'm pretty happy with like the final gravity was really low. It fermented nicely, it seems to have dropped out pretty well. So
yeah, this is the 3rd time this week I've had somebody talk about how quick a dry yeast took off, which has not been necessarily my experience in the past. So I wonder if they've, I don't know, you know, it's still an 11-gram packet that it's always been, but I wonder if there just isn't something where dry yeast kind of stepped up their game a little bit after having like a weird reputation for a long time.
I think my thing was I just prefer the flavor that I get from liquid yeast, even if you're just doing like a American ale, Chico, you know, ale type strain. But I'm happy enough with this.
Yeah.
Yeah, so Craig, if you're watching, you know I can email you, so I can make sure that you get a chance to see this if you want. But thanks for the recipe. Thanks to Chip for hooking me up with the hops and the yeast, and it was sort of a goofy little transcontinental collaboration. See what I'm saying? All right. All right, so we got one more beer to try. Watch for that video in the coming weeks, and catch you later.